Hi and welcome to my channel, Simpson Speakers. Yay! My name is Miss Simpson. That's what my students call me. I have been practicing public speaking for over 20 years and will share information about public speaking on this channel, plus tips, strategies, and general information about public speaking and communication. Did you know that 70 to 75% of the population fear public speaking? We're talking about over 200 million people, according to Google, fear public speaking. And it's not just adults. Teenagers fear public speaking too. How do I know, you're probably wondering? Because I was one of those teenagers. And from time to time, I will invite teenagers to this channel to share their public speaking experience. As a matter of fact, in today's video, I've invited teenagers from my online public speaking program to talk about why, in their opinion, they feel teenagers fear public speaking. So, what are you waiting for? Take your seat because class is about to begin. I have 3 teenagers here who will give you their opinion as to why teenagers fear public speaking. And I'll also give you some tips to combat common public speaking nervous behaviors that no one tells you about. All right? So our first guest is Jerry. Jerry, how are you today?
Hello, Miss Simpson. I'm good.
Okay. Jerry, can you tell us in your own words why some teenagers fear public speaking?
Okay. So a reason why teenagers may fear public speaking is because it puts them in an uncomfortable situation where they might be afraid to be judged by the people they're talking to.
Okay, that's true. And what about when you're speaking in front of people? For example, if your teacher calls on you to speak in front of your classmates, what kind of nervous behaviors do you normally experience?
So some nervous behaviors I usually experience when I'm speaking in front of an audience or a class is I tend to sweat, like sweaty palms, sweaty foreheads. I also tend sometimes to nervously laugh at the fact that I'm scared of being judged by the people I'm talking to.
Right, okay, so sweaty palm, sweaty forehead, and you might laugh nervously, all because you're nervous. Okay, thank you so much for sharing that with us today, Jerry. And our next guest is Eric. Eric, hi Eric, how are you?
Good afternoon, Miss Simpson. How you doing today?
I'm okay. So tell us in your own words, why do you think most teenagers fear public speaking?
I feel as if most teenagers fear public speaking is because they are afraid of being criticized or judged by others or how others may perceive them.
That is so true. A lot of people are afraid of what the audience members will say. You know, they're afraid of criticism and being judged. So that's a valid reason why teenagers fear public speaking. Now, what about when you have to stand in front of an audience and speak? What kind of nervous behaviors do you normally experience?
Some nervous behaviors I experience when I have to speak in front of people is I tend to forget what I have to speak about, the topic. I have short-term memory loss, or sometimes I even stutter and start to jumble up on my words.
Okay, and this is real. Some people freeze and forget what they have to say and they stutter. These are real reasons why people fear public speaking. Thank you so much, Eric, for sharing this information with us. All right, okay. Okay, our next guest is Taylor. Hi, Taylor, how are you?
Hi, Miss Simpson, I'm good.
All right, now in your own words, why do you think some teenagers fear public speaking?
So, for most teenagers, they're either anxious or paranoid. So when that's the case, you have a fear of being perceived. And being on stage, it's so many eyes on you, so many people watching you, you're in the spotlight, so that can make you more nervous. If you're a perfectionist like myself, you may not want to make a mistake, so those can be some things.
Yes, yes. Having all of those eyes staring back at you is nerve-wracking, and the paranoia, oh my goodness. It's real. These are real reasons why teenagers fear public speaking. Now, what about when you have to speak in front of people yourself? What kind of nervous behaviors do you experience?
So usually when I'm speaking in front of people, my heart starts beating really fast and it feels like it's about to jump on my chest and my hands start like shaking uncontrollably.
Yes.
And, yeah.
That used to be me too. So thank you so much for sharing this with us, because other teenagers need to know that they are not alone. All right. Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So you've heard from some of the teenagers on the program why they feel people fear public speaking. I have a list of other common nervous behaviors that people experience. Taylor mentioned the pounding of the heart. Do you also experience racing heartbeat when you have to speak in front of people? If so, please let me know in the comment section. Cracking voice, she touched on that too. Does your voice crack? Or do you experience dry throat when you have to speak in front of people? Let me know in the comment section. Sweaty palms. I think Jerry mentioned that he experienced sweaty palms when he has to speak in front of people, and sweaty forehead. And playing with hair, is that you? Playing with the hair can be distracting, but it's a sign of nervousness or anxiety. And shaking hands, that's also a common nervous behavior that people experience when they're speaking in front of people. And some people, as Eric mentioned, disassociate. They try not to look at the audience because it's too nerve-wracking. So these are the common nervous behaviors. Now, how do you deal with them? I will walk you through how to combat these nervous behaviors. For a pounding heart, I want you to try a breathing technique. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Breathe in as if you're smelling the candles, and breathe out as if you're blowing out the roses. Do that for a couple of times to see if it will help to calm down your beating heart. Or try listening to, soft music or music that will calm you down before your presentation. Cracking voice and dry throat, make sure you have something close by to drink. So if your voice starts to crack or your throat gets dry, you can sip on it. It will add moisture to your throat and make you sound better. Sweaty palms and sweaty forehead, make sure you have napkins in your pocket. So when your palms start to sweat, you can pull out your napkin and dry off your palms. And the same thing for your forehead. If you start to sweat, you can just dab at your forehead. Okay? Playing with your hair. If that's you, style your hair in an updo or a bun away from your face so that you can't play with it. Because playing with your hair is distracting when you're giving a presentation. You want people to focus on what you're saying and what you're doing, and instead of focusing on you playing with your hair. And shaking hands. If there's a lectern or podium in the room where you're presenting, hold on to the lectern or the podium. That will help the shakiness to go away, and that nervous energy is now transferred onto the podium. What if there isn't a podium? Well, you can put your hands behind your back, or if there's chairs where you can sit down and hold on to the sides of the chair. Or if there's a table, keep your hands underneath the table where no one can see that they're shaking. And after a few minutes, the shakiness should stop. So these are the tips for combating nervous public speaking behaviors. And you've also heard from my guests what are the common fears that teenagers experience. And you've learned that over 200 million people fear public speaking. But if you practice, you can overcome your fear. Remember to turn on your notification button so you can get notified when I post my next video. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. Bye!